Welcome back. Well, big new questions now rising about that anti-Trump dossier. This after a report reveals that former so-called British spy Christopher Steele admitted to using posts by random individuals like comments on CNN's website to back up his alleged claims.
That anti-Trump dossier was used to help launch the FBI's probe into possible Trump-Russia collusion. Our next guest has been covering this story from day one. Here to weigh in, Fox News contributor Sarah Carter. Sarah, you know, we sort of chuckle at this idea that they're using comments essentially on the CNN website to back it up. But then why in the world did the FBI, which should have been vetting this to verify it, why didn't they appear, to me at least, to do their jobs?
Well, they didn't do their jobs, Ed. I mean, they went ahead and they ended up filing a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrant on Carter Page based in large part on this dossier. Let's just think about this. We have a foreign British spy, former, for MI6. He is hired and basically colluding with the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC because remember, that's who paid him through Fusion GPS to actually gather evidence and compile it into a dossier against the Trump campaign. Now we know based on his own deposition, this isn't even based on unsubstantiated reports, but based on his own deposition, that he was collecting information mainly from open sourcing. Okay, that happens a lot when you're an intelligence officer, but he's also collecting it just random intelligence from CNN reports, all kinds of back and forth jibber jabber on the internet, putting it into this dossier. He says something very interesting in his deposition, and he contradicts himself. And this is what I want to point out. He says, well, I'm only allowed to talk about the open source information that I collected in the dossier, which was the majority of it. And then later on, he says, look, the intent of the dossier wasn't to verify any information. It was just to compile information, which, by the way, he also gathered from former FSB Russian agents. These are people that are still connected to Putin and everyone else. So he was just basically, he contradicts himself there. Collects all this information and then spreads it like a huge disinformation campaign across the globe.
So, Sarah, he compiled internet comments into a document that effectively was used to surveil members of a presidential campaign.
Absolutely, Pete. I mean, and for 2 years, well, let's just say 3 years, but for at least 2 years now with the special counsel investigation, not only did this disinformation, if this was a Russian operation, which I'm sure it was, once they figured out that Christopher Steele was nosying around and asking questions, the Russians sure found out right away who was paying for this. They compiled this information. They wreaked havoc through our election system. And so now this is what we're seeing, the result of this, and now we're just waiting for the Mueller report to see what he has to say.
Absolutely. That's coming soon. Sarah Carter, she's been on the story, as we said from the beginning. She'll be on with Sean Hannity throughout the week, 9 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss her right here.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, Sarah.
Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone, too.
Love it. Thank you. All right, well, California's governor sparking outrage after declaring a moratorium unilaterally on the death penalty.
He turned his back on the will of the people, showed mercy for the 737 individuals on death row who have never shown mercy in their lives.
Angry there at the Democratic governor.